Hello, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net, and in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 best double strategies you have ever seen. Make sure you copy the link to this video and you send it to your doubles partners because it's about time you start winning those matches you are currently losing. Tip number 1, hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing. Let me say that again. Hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing. Look, most points are played one up, one back versus one up, one back. So the baseliner needs to hit the vast majority of their shots to the other team's baseliner. Now, most people know that, but do you follow that rule at the net? Because this is how you dominate doubles at the net. When you're at the net, you follow the same rule. So let's say the ball's going back and forth, cross court, baseline to baseline. The two baseliners are following that rule. And all of a sudden, the opponent, the baseliner opponent, hits the ball a little too close to you. This is you. And you cut it off at an angle, moving perpendicular to the path of the ball. It's the shortest distance to get there. Where are you going to hit this shot? I would tell you that 70% of the time, I see the ball being hit back to the baseliner. I mean, remember dodgeball when we were a kid in physical education class, and we'd take that ball and you throw it to the kid closest to you on the other team so you could get them out of the game? You wouldn't pick the person halfway across the gym who's got all the time to react. That's what's happening when you poach and you hit it to the baseliner. You're hitting it to the opponent who has more time to react. Hit to the person with less time. So when you poach, hit it hard at the feet. You're not trying to hurt anyone or hit anyone. Hit it low near the feet of the opposing net player. Baseliners should hit it to baseliners. Net players need to aim to net players. So let's say this returner tries to lob you, and this is you. Don't hit your overhead this way. Hit your overhead that way. Hit it to the person with less time to react. If you want to be right more than 80% of the time, yes, there are exceptions to the rule, but learn the rule first, and then we can go over the exceptions. If you want to be right more than 80% of the time, when it comes to where you aim your shot in doubles, simply hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you're standing. All right, tip number 2. This piggybacks a little bit off of what we just learned. When you're at the net, you want to move as if the ball is a magnet and you're getting pulled toward the magnet. So I just happen to have a tennis ball magnet here. So remember, the baseliners should be hitting back and forth cross court to each other to follow the first rule. Hit the ball to the opponent who's standing where you're standing. Well, the net players can't just stand there and get a good neck workout, which you've seen people playing doubles and all they do is this. They just move their neck. They're not going anywhere as the net player. You need to move up and back. So let's say this blue player hits it back to the red baseliner. Well, these two players shouldn't stay here. This player who is up should move back. This player who is back should move up. Well, let's say this player does their job, gets it back cross court. Then the whole thing repeats. Now, are there more advanced movements you can make at the net? Absolutely, where you almost draw a triangle with your movement. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're just going to move up and back, and that's going to be a lot better than just standing there. So very simple. You're going to move as if the ball is a magnet. So let's say this is you. You're getting pulled toward the magnet. Now the ball gets behind you. Now you move back. This player getting pulled toward the magnet. Ball goes back cross court. They're going to move back toward the magnet again. This player is going to move forward. So it's so simple. These two players move up and back like they're almost doing a dance with each other as the ball goes cross court. Start moving when you're at the net like the ball is a magnet and you're getting pulled toward the magnet, and you're going to play the best offense and defense at the net you ever have. All right, tip number 3. And by the way, if you're loving this video, and I hope you are because I'm really having fun making it, make sure that you hit like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. And again, it would mean the world to me, the absolute world to me, if you wrote a comment below and just let me know what you think of this video. Tip number 3, you want to look at the opposing net player when the ball is behind you. So we talked about moving as if the ball is a magnet. Well, when you're this player and the ball is being hit by your partner, remember, you're supposed to move back, but you also want to look directly at the other net player. The reason is they're the person who can hurt you first. So you don't want to be looking at your partner when they're hitting. Now you can look back to see like how much trouble they're in, or do they get pulled like way over here? Like you want to see that. That's fine. You can take a peek. You can look back at your partner to see, are they falling over, or are they looking really good hitting the ball? You want to know that information. But as they're about to hit the ball, you need to look at the opposing net player, because if the ball goes to them, you are going to react so much faster if they decide to hit the ball to you if you're looking right at them. I have people who, this is you, right? Let's say this is the student we're going to talk about. Let's call this Bob, right? We're just going to call Bob, some generic name, right? Some name that I'm not speaking about one particular person. So here's Bob. Bob is looking at the baseliner or looking at his partner when he needs to be looking at this player, because this is the player who can hurt him first. So you have to make sure when the ball is behind you, you look directly at the other net player. Now, if the ball goes cross court, you see that they're not hitting the ball. So you then go forward. Then this player goes back. Remember, oh, lost my sticker. I told you, I don't edit this stuff. I don't edit this stuff. All right, so now the ball is back here. This player goes forward, this player moves back. Now where should this player be looking? Remember, the ball's behind them. They should be looking at this player. When you move back, your focus turns to the other net player. Ball goes here. They're going to move like the ball is a magnet. This player moved back, and when you move back, you look at the other net player. Because if the ball by your partner gets a little too close and they poach, you will react so much faster if you see the ball coming right off of their racket. They should be coming right at you. I have so many people every single week at the club where I coach. They come up to me and they literally say, Ryan, I did the drill where when the ball's behind me, I move back and I look at the other net person, and when the ball comes to them and they hit it to me, I'm so much faster to react. And I say, that's why we do the drill. So I want you to experience the fun and the excitement of that situation as well, and be able to react to your opponent's slam right at you. All right, tip number 4. When you lob your opponent successfully and they have to switch, put your toes on the service line. All right, let's talk about this. So this is you. Here's your opponent. Partner is going to be here, right? Your partner should move back because the ball is behind them, right? They should be looking right here. You decide to lob, and you lob successfully over the opponent's head. Now they should be switching, right? They should switch. Let me show you what typically happens. They switch, so this person goes across. This person goes over and gets it. What typically happens is these two players don't go anywhere. Or this player moves in. You don't want to do that. When you lob your opponents successfully, you want to put your toes on the service line. So let me just run through this first. What shot typically comes from this player? The team switched. This player is running over, usually in trouble. If they're right-handed, that's their backhand. What shot do they typically hit in that situation? Typically, a lob. Well, what shot do you want to hit off of a lob? An overhead. You're not going to hit an overhead if you stay behind the baseline. And you're not going to hit an overhead if you crash the net and get super tight. You want to put your toes on the service line as a team. Put your toes on the service line. Then when they lob the ball up, if it's a really bad lob and it's weak, you can move in, and guess where you're going to slam it? Tip number 1, you're not going to slam it because you don't want to hurt anybody, but you got this dead duck here. You're going to hit it to this side. You don't have to hit them. You can even hit it behind them because there's enough angle that it's going to stay away from the baseliner. Or, I mean, if you want, just tap it lightly to their feet and they're just going to go like this. And if they hit a great lob, since your toes are on the service line, right? I'm not even telling you on the service line. I'm saying put your toes on the service line. That keeps you back enough that you're not creeping forward, rushing the net to lose at a faster rate. If they hit a great lob, let's say to your partner can take 2 steps back into no man's land and then still hit the overhead at the net person. When you successfully lob over your opponents, you want to take advantage of that. And I talk about this in my podcast. You want to pair shots with movement. You understand baseball. When you hit a baseball, you're supposed to run to first base. Like, we know you do something and then you go somewhere. Tennis is the same thing. Every time you hit a ball, whether you're successful or not successful, you should know where to go based on the shot that you hit. And if you are attempting a lob and you hit a great lob over your opponent's head and they have to switch, don't stand there like you didn't know what to do. You know what to do, especially after watching this video, so now no excuses. You know, move to the service line, put your toes on the service line. And if this is you and your partner is the one who hit the lob, you need to move back. Now, people say, yeah, but what if they don't lob? What if they hit a volley? Well, you're on your toes, ready, split stepping as the opponent hits. You're on the service line, and they're not going to hit much power. They're going to put much power on that shot. Remember, it's a lob, and now the ball's like way up above their head. But let's say they hit a ground stroke. Well, even if they hit a ground stroke, you quick move in, cut it off at an angle, and then hit it right to the person. You're in the middle, so you're equidistant to any shot that they hit, and then you're both going to pick on the opposing net player. Remember, tip number 1, when you're at the net, pick on the other net player, and you're going to be right over 80–90% of the time. All right, last tip, and this has to do with when you are lobbed and you have to switch. So I want you to remember this scenario, right? Remember how this person stayed at the net when they switched? We're going to talk about that. So let's say you are the server's partner. Can I just tell you, I love making these videos. I'm so jacked up about this. I love it so much. So this is the opponent, this is you, and they lob over you. And now your partner, who was over here getting the last shot, now they're scrambling to get over here. Remember what they should be doing. What they should be doing is putting their toes on the service line. So let's say they do. Let's say they watch this video, and let's say they put their toes on the service line. Do not move straight across when you switch in doubles. You can't. Because if you go straight across, you are a dead duck. And you are putting a ton, you better have Serena Williams or Novak Djokovic as your doubles partner, because they're going to have to hit an amazing shot to keep you safe. Because any type of weak shot that is hit, let's say it's a lob that's going to land there, they're going to come in and pound you with the ball, and you can't move back fast enough to get out of harm's way. So when you switch, move back to at least no man's land. Move back diagonally to at least no man's land. That way, let's say they didn't even move to the service line, right? Let's say they didn't go to the service line. They did what typical teams do, which is they just stayed. Even if you just go to into no man's land, you're not going to stay there. You're just trying to gain information. The information is you're trying to watch what your partner does. Let's say your partner hits a weak ball right to the net player. Well, if the net player is hitting an overhead, you can now back up all the way. You've got all the time you need to react to their overhead. Let's say your partner hits the ball back to the baseliner. Well, you were in no man's land. Now you can come forward, and even your partner can come forward and sneak in. And then if they hit it like this, you can come in and then pick on the net person. Remember, they have not enough time to react. The idea is very simple. When you are lobbed in doubles and your partner is coming back behind you to get this ball, move back diagonally to no man's land, and then base whether you go in or back on the shot that your partner hits. All right, let's go over this again. If you want to be right over 80% of the time when it comes to where you aim your shot in doubles, hit the ball to the opponent who is standing where you are standing. When you're at the net, move up and back as if the ball is a magnet. If the ball is behind you, move back around the service line. If the ball goes to the other baseliner, you move forward and you attack and try to poach. Piggybacking off of that idea, if the ball gets behind you, tip number 3 is, as you move back, look at the other net person, because they are the player who can hurt you first. When you lob successfully over your opponents and they have to switch, quickly put your toes on the service line. I say it that way so you don't step a foot or two or a step or two inside the service line and still think, oh, I'm at the service line. No, no, no. Put your toes on the service line and it'll make sure that you don't go in too far, which allows them to easily lob you. And when you are lobbed and you have to switch, move back diagonally into no man's land. When you yell switch and you can't get it and you need your partner to get it, move back diagonally into no man's land and then move forward or back to get out of there according to the shot your partner hits. If you use these 5 awesome double strategies, there is no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.